John Law, founder of the Company of the West.
Once again, Bienville was called back to Louisiana to pick up the pieces. Although John Law's gamble didn't pay off, Louisiana did enjoy a little good luck under his management. For one thing, the colony finally had colonists.
The rapidity with which the company has sent the colonists and the others was nothing less than astonishing. In addition, there are the girls from La Salpêtrière de Paris. 8 or 10 of them have already married. Charles Legac, Directeur Général, Ship Island.
In the first 4 years alone, the company sent 43 ships carrying over 7,000 colonists. Of these, the most successful were not Frenchmen at all, but Germans.
Bienville convinced them to settle with some other German settlers in what is today St. Charles and St. John the Baptist parishes, ultimately the area to be called the German Coast.
Before long, they would adopt the French language and culture, and the harsh-sounding German names would soften into French, giving us family names like Folz, Emil, and Toops. These hard-working German farmers helped to keep the colony fed. But they were not the only new immigrants John Law's company brought to the colony.
From almost the very beginning, Bienville says the Europeans just simply cannot cope with the conditions necessary to producing a viable agricultural system. At best, they might be able to do is have gardens. So he recommends slavery.
In 1719, 2 ships, Le Duc d'Umain and l'Aurora, arrived on the Gulf Coast, loaded with human cargo.
Most of them probably would have been captured by African enslavers and then sold to Europeans. Put aboard ships, didn't know exactly where they were going, didn't know what was going to happen to them.
The African slaves brought to Louisiana during the French period came overwhelmingly from Senegambia. The count is 70% of the slave trade ships and 2/3 of the slaves came from Senegambia.
One of the things that was very, very interesting about the group that came in was their introduction of gumbo to the culture. They brought in a method of cooking what they call the fish stew, or kumbo. And as a result of adding some Indian spices like sassafras, which we call nan-filet, and then the French contributing their ruse and another type of gravy, then because we come up with the gumbo, which is almost universal to southern Louisiana.
As Africans and their Caribbean descendants became a part of Louisiana's cultural gumbo, they proved to be indispensable in building the colony.
They were highly skilled people, and they knew how to cultivate all the crops which were important to Louisiana, including rice and indigo, tobacco, corn. They were quite good at navigating treacherous rivers and building and maintaining boats and in metalworking.
Soon the slaves were forced to put those skills to work in the construction of a new city.
This last summer, I examined better than I had yet done all the lands in the vicinity of this river. A large town can be built on the lower part of the river, which would be a warehousing port. Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, Sieur de Bienville.
Bienville visited the lower Mississippi River and early on determined that the site that is now New Orleans would be the perfect location for a great city, which would be the capital of the new French Empire in the Americas.
In 1718, Bienville founded New Orleans on a narrow crescent of marshy ground between the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain. Many doubted that a city could ever be wrestled from this swamp. But in the end, Bienville's vision prevailed.
By the 1730s, the town had emerged as a major commercial center. For most of the colonial period, New Orleans was the